Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so like I said before, guys, I have a lot of subscribers from the Philippines, and their guy is Wesley. I figured it'd be good, to kind of cater to a lot of my audience right now, and just kind of hit Wesley. Do some, kind of follow some of the games he's played and stuff like that. And so right now, I'm just kind of following some of his games from the earlier tournament in the year, Tata Steel or Wijk Aan Zee. It is a annual chess tournament held in the Netherlands. I believe 1936 was when it first, if I'm not mistaken, was when it first came up. Let me see here. 1938 is when it first came up, and so it's been going on since then. But yeah, get that out of the way. Yeah, but like I said, I figured I'd go ahead and just start doing a whole bunch more of his games. Maybe there's some games in here that I'm gonna do that you guys haven't seen. Hopefully I'm bringing you guys something new. Salamat to you guys. I appreciate it very much. Share my stuff. Keep subscribing. Tell your friends. Tell your fam. Whoever. But yeah, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and take a look at. Actually, real quick, let me go ahead and just do this. I will show you. Let me get the right one here. Bam. Okay, so this is the actual like standings of the Wijk Aan Zee from earlier this year. And so you guys see Fabiano Carroll 101, Magnus Carlsen was second, and you see Wesley So there 7.5 out of 13. So we got third place. Now for you guys that don't know kind of what's next to it, it's like a little breakdown of the game. So if you look next to where it says 7.5 out of 13, it says +2 -0 = 11. It took me like a while to figure this out. I didn't just know this initially. I always would look at the tournament results, and I couldn't understand like what that stuff meant. So basically, next to Wesley, you see +2. That's how many games he won. -0 is how many games he lost, and =11 is how many games he drew. And so if you look all the way down the entire line, you'll see plus, minus, and equals. The plus is wins, the minus is losses, and the equals is draws. So you see that he won 2 games, he lost none, and he drew 11. So the 11 draws give you 5.5 points, and then the 2 wins give you 2 more points. So that's how we get to the 7.5 out of 13. So hopefully that informs some of you guys that might not have known that. And then now in the future, when you go through and you look at results for tournaments, you're not going to not know what that means. So let me go ahead and hide that real quick. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and take a look and see what we have for this game. All right, so we have E4. All right, E5 responding just, symmetrically. All right, so we have knight to F3. Let me turn it down a touch here. All right, so we have knight to F3. So we have knight to C6. Attacking that pawn in the center. All right, so we have bishop C4. So we have an Italian game. All right, bishop to C5. So we have this is a Giuoco piano. Now, Giuoco piano is one of the oldest openings in chess. They have like the Ruy Lopez, and that goes back to either the late 1400s or early 1500s, and the same with the Giuoco piano. Now, Giuoco piano is Italian for quiet game. They're not usually quiet. That's just what they called it way back in the day. Where it got its name from. So continuing on here. So we have C3, just trying to give either the queen some movability or, to be able to kind of tuck the bishop back. It's not the end of the world, but a lot of times you'll have the knight that'll try to hop to, let's say you block the bishop's retreat, you'll have a knight that might come out here to like A5 or something like that and attack it. Then a bishop has to go back here, and then you can damage your structure and stuff that way. So it's a lot of the times you want to kind of give, the bishop a Luft, as they say in German, just for some air. All right, so we have knight to F6, just attacking that E4 pawn. If you establish a good center, you're going to have to expect that the opponent is going to try to damage that. They're going to try to attack that center, either hyper modern with the bishops, or they're going to be attacking it directly. All right, so we have D3, just solidifying that pawn on E4. All right, so we have D6, just trying to give that bishop some space to come out. cause some type of havoc somewhere, and just, you know, kind of solidifying that that bishop on c5. All right, so we have knight b to d2. All right, so we have castles. h3. You know, white doesn't want any of the bishop g4 nonsense. It can get kind of annoying. You know, he has his knight on d2, so you don't really too much have to worry about a pin. But every now and then you might put that knight on c3, and that bishop g4 can get pretty annoying. It's kind of hard to break those pins, especially if you have a pawn on d3. All right, so we have a6, just working on trying to get maybe some expansion on the queen side, and, you know, knock that bishop away. So that's how that c3 move comes into play later on, you know, earlier on. All right, so we have bishop to b3, a super Fisher move. You know, Fisher used to always love playing the white side of the Sicilians when he'd bring his bishop to c4 and then drop it back to b3. For those of you that aren't familiar, he played a game against Samuel Reshevsky. And it was just a beautiful bishop sacrifice on f7. That square that I'm telling you guys is really, really weak, the f7 and f2 squares. All right, so we have bishop to e6, just trying to challenge that bishop there and, you know, develop your piece with a tempo, which is always good. All right, so we have bishop drops back to c2. That square, like I was saying, you know, c3 was allowing for the bishop to come back. And, you know, you see the knight, this pawn, and the bishop are all, you know, basically just kind of like pushing through and just, you know, super defending this pawn on e4, trying to keep that center solid. All right, so we have d5. You know, of course, black is trying to chip away at that you know, that beautiful center that you know, white is trying to establish. All right, so we have knight to g5, and it's in this position that Wesley So has taken us into brand new territory. Knight g5 has never been played, and so this is the novelty of the position. Now, before we get into the next move that Anand plays, if you guys want to go ahead and pause the video real quick and see as black what you would play. This kind of plays to a like a you know, kind of a focus that I talk about a lot in my videos, and it's kind of like a little tactical situation. So like I said, if you guys want to stop it and take a look and see what you would play here, go ahead and do that. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds, or, you know, you can pause it, you know, take however long you want to kind of, you know, take a look at the position, analyze it, and, you know, see what the best move would be here. And we'll see you guys in a second. All right, so welcome back, guys. So everybody's together now. So let's go ahead and we'll first take a look at what was actually played in the game, and that was d takes e4. And so if we back up a touch, what you guys should notice and what you guys should remember from, you know, the other analysis that I've done on games is that there's a little bit of funny looking, you know, situation with this knight. And for those of you, like I said, that watched my stuff before, you'll notice that this knight is completely undefended. And so, like I say time and time again, guys, like when you're playing games, anytime somebody has an undefended piece anywhere, in which for black could also be this bishop here on c5, you always want to try to see if there's a way maybe you can take advantage of it, right? And so there's a very like nice tactical shot. It doesn't win you a bunch of material, but it does give you a pretty fair advantage compared to what, you know, the situation looks like for black coming up. And so, and that is this move here, knight to e4. Knight takes e4 actually, and so what it's doing is it's exploiting this it's exploiting this undefended piece, because this bishop normally defends this knight, but it's currently blocked by the d2 knight. And so you know, a lot of you guys might be like, all right, well, I mean, I can just take back that knight with this knight, right? It's like, yeah, you definitely have the ability to take back with this knight, right? And so you know, you would have knight takes, and then you would have pawn takes, and then you would have knight takes here, and then let's say the bishop drops back here. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to this particular position, and I want you guys to notice the pawn structure for black, right? Okay, so if you guys notice, like, the pawn structure is nice and healthy. You know, there's no big weaknesses. Now, like I said, guys, you know, even if you have doubled or triple pawns, or you have, you know, like split pawns or something, it doesn't mean that you're just automatically going to lose the game. But it's a lot easier to manage a healthy pawn structure compared to the other stuff. And, you know, the same thing if you look at white. You know, white has all of their pawns, You know, it's a pretty nice little healthy pawn structure, right? So I want you guys to keep that in mind. So let's go back to the position in the game. And so, like I said, we have D takes E4. And so we have, you know, the whole point of moving knight to G5 was to try to damage black's pawn structure, right? And so, you know, we take back, you know, F takes E6, pawn takes E4. And so if you look at this position now compared to the position that we had before, you'll notice that black has, you know, basically the same structure here on the queen side, but now they have double pawns here in the middle. And then they have, you know, basically a split pawn situation here. And so if you notice from this position, I'll go ahead and go back right now to the other position. And you notice a difference. So you're actually getting a little bit more in this particular position compared to the position that we have right here. And so, you know, as you can see, white has a little bit more of an advantage in this particular position. So that was a little bit of something that Anand kind of missed. And so for those of you out there that, you know, think that, you know, the players at the high level are just like gods and stuff like that, even the best players in the world have the ability to miss tactics or miss a type of move that's going to give you a little bit of a better position and stuff like that. It's not, you know, definitely not saying that it's losing by any means. But, you know, the situation that we got into right here is definitely just a little bit worse than the situation that, you know, we could have been in, you know, had we seen that little tactical shot real quick. So moving on here, guys. All right. So we have bishop takes F2. Okay. So like I said before, guys, for everybody that watches my videos, I'm always talking about F2. I'm always talking about F7. Those are literally the most tender spots in people's position. Because like I said before, guys, as you guys notice, the king is the only one that's protecting this square. And so the situation in this particular position that you need to pay attention to is the fact that you have this rook kind of indirectly defending that square. And so anytime you have an F file that opens, that's something that you always want to be paying attention to, whether you're on the opposing side or you're on the side where your rook is on that file. And right now, you know, the white king is not castled. So we have king takes F2. There's really nothing else you can do in this particular position other than king takes F2, because you're literally just going to be giving them a whole pawn for free. And then so now you have knight to G4. And so it looks kind of scary for white, but black did have to give up an entire piece to get into this particular situation. All right, so we have king to G1. Right, we have king to G1, and so we have knight to E3. And this is a position I want you guys to remember, because anytime you have a bishop and a queen right next to each other in the same diagonal, and there are pieces on the dark square, so it's kind of like a square type of complex, you can run into this particular situation, and the queen is going to have to be kicked away from the defense of that bishop, because, you know, the queen, if you notice, the queen doesn't have anywhere to go right now, you know, in trying to, you know, still hold this bishop. And so, you know, queen has to move to E2. We have knight takes C2, which, you know, of course, you're going to take the material, and then that's the only square for the rook to go, is to rook B1. All right, so we have knight to D4. Now, if you back up just a touch here, something I want you to notice is that the knight is currently trapped. And so, you know, the piece count is 5 for each side, because, you know, the black did give up a bishop. And so, you know, it's not really beneficial for this knight to be stuck, because, you know, you have the possibility of losing an entire piece. You've won a pawn, but you have a possibility of losing a piece. And so you have to play as dynamically as possible. So that's where knight D4 comes in, because recognizing that his knight is basically trapped, he's trying to get some severe compensation for basically losing a piece. And usually when you can get 2 or 3 pawns, that usually compensates you pretty well for having to lose an entire piece. All right, so we have C takes D4 and queen takes D4 with check. Get this here. And so, you know, there's really only one spot to go to, and that's going to be H2. And so, you know, like I said, what you got. So we have 5 pawns for white, and we have 7 pawns for black. So even though black is, you know, down a piece here, you know, they did get, you know, quite a bit of compensation a little bit. It's definitely a lot better for white. So white is definitely doing a lot better here. So even though it looks scary, you know, you got this rook here on the F file coming down. you got the queen coming down, you got the knight being able to, it looks like now I can get out in these squares and stuff like that. You got this rook coming over. Even though you have all of that, black is actually in a pretty tough position. But as a lot of you guys know, I mean, even though you could be winning, by certain pawns worth, there's certain positions that they're kind of hard to calculate. So it's not super clear if you're good or what. So all right, so we have rook to f2. Just trying to gain the tempo on the queen. All right, so we have queen to g4. You definitely want to try to hold on to this square here because, the king is kind of cornered. So we definitely don't want any situations, where the knight kind of jumps here and, the queen starts coming down and stuff. Because even though they're down a piece, you could still be in a mating type of situation there. All right, so we have knight to e3. Just attacking that queen. And like I said, trying to get a hold of this square here. So we have queen takes e6 with check. King to h8. All right, so rook to g1, being able to defend that square with the rook. All right, so we have queen to d3, and so like I said, guys, it's even though black is definitely in a worse position, it's looking kind of scary a little bit though for black, and sometimes like I said, that can be it can be tough to evaluate positions if they look really scary. You might actually even be winning in these positions. And that just kind of goes to show that, the human mind and the human perception, we're definitely not computers. So even though the computer could be like, oh, you're up five pawns, or you're up a queen, like it might not seem that way to us. All right, so we have queen takes e5, just trying to gain back some of that material we have. All right, rook a. We have rook a to f8. And what I want you guys to notice here is even though these pieces are kind of jammed up, they're actually holding each other very well. This knight is holding this rook. This bishop is holding this knight. So everything's kind of held together. And with black being down a piece, it's not really beneficial to try to take here and have that take back because you're still going to be down in exchange. And with equal pawns, especially with this pawn here in the middle on e4, that's going to be a pretty tough game to win. And so we have a queen to g3, just trying to get the queen back to, do a little bit of defense. All right, so queen to e2, just adding the pressure on. So like I said, it's looking kind of scary. You have the queen and the rook both trained on this. You got the knight trained on it. The rook is coming down. So it's like, man, it's looking crazy, right? As crazy as it seems, white is actually doing very well. They're actually up almost about a full piece in this position here. All right, so we have b4, just trying to clear space for the rook and the bishop to try to come out. All right, so we have rook takes g3 with check. Rook takes g2. All right, knight takes g2, and so we've traded down a little bit, a consolidated position, and so we have queen to g4. Now, basically, in this position here, queen to g4 is just about the most perfect move you can make. Reason being, and so what you're looking at here as black, what you're hoping for is to try to get this type of a situation going, where you can maybe move the knight to another square. That's not the one we need. Move the knight to another square and discover an attack on this king. You're also hoping to be able to try to move this rook down, and so let's say, for example, you had a situation. Let's just look at let's say an alternate move. And so let's say, for example, it's like, okay, well, I want to take this piece off the board, right? You actually run into this position here. And it's not pretty. You're going to lose some material. And so you can either take back like this and be checked. You have some pieces as compensation. It's kind of up in the air, how this particular position would go. So you might not want to go into that situation. Plus, you're going to be down a pawn. So, the queen is going to really be trying to cause some, havoc to these pieces and stuff. And so, this particular move here, queen to g4, it's just very perfect. Like I said, what it does is it's trying to knock this queen. It's basically trying to deflect the queen. Not do that. It's trying to deflect the queen away from the protection of this knight. And also, too, the only way for you to maintain protection of this knight is to move the queen here. And so what that does, what queen g4 does, is it basically forces the queen into the ideal square that you did want for your rook. Now, if you notice in this position, you can take back here, and then after trades, you're just doing extra solid. And so, like I said, queen g4 was about the most perfect move you can make in this position. You know, like some people might have been like, oh man, let me take the pawn here, or, you know, let me try to, you know, just kind of centralize my queen, or maybe move over here to try to, you know, liberate some of my pieces and stuff. But to further press the issue, queen g4 was a beautiful move. And so Wesley defeated Viswanathan Anand, and so, you know, that's not too shabby, beating the former world champion. So I appreciate it, guys. Like I said at the beginning of the video, go ahead and subscribe and like. Let me know how you like the analysis. If you'd like for me to do more, let me know what game from when, and I'll see about making a video for you guys. I appreciate it.